Who is your enemy, child of God? This may seem like an easy and obvious question to answer, but stay with me till the end and you may be surprised on what we conclude. Who, my friend, is your enemy? Have you been unfairly treated by someone intentionally? What do you do when it seems like someone is consistently out to get you? Like no matter what you do, they never find anything good to say about it. Then there are those who go behind your back and whisper lies and half-truths. Take what you say and twist it around. There are those who have never met you or don't really know you and only have unkind things to say to you. It seems like with the anonymity of the internet these days, it is easier and easier for someone to just dislike you actively and make it known without any qualms or thoughts. How, my friend, do you deal with all of that? Today, I would like to share a story with you. It is the story of David and Eliab, who was David's oldest brother. It is a story that we do not really take note of many times because of what happens within the next few parts, in that David slays Goliath. But today, we are going to be looking at what happened before them. The Bible tells us that Jesse, David's father, sent him on an errand to come bring food to his brothers, where they camped out against the Philistine army. It seems like David was the only one of his brothers not old enough to join the Israelite army at that time, so instead he was tending his father's sheep. Now, here comes an opportunity to go see what is happening right up front and get close to the story. So he obeys his father and comes to give his brothers food. And then he hears Goliath making his boast against the God of Israel. And as we know, he became angry as to why an unbeliever was being given the opportunity to talk trash against their God. Let's take a look at what happens next. David asked the men who were standing with him, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Just who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? The people told him about the offer, saying, that is what will be done for the man who kills him. Now, when David's oldest brother, Eliab, heard him speaking to the men, his anger burned against David. Why have you come here? He asked. And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and wickedness of heart. You have come down to see the battle. What have I done now? Said David. Was it not just a question? Then he turned from him toward another and asked about the offer. And those people answered him just as the first ones had answered him. Now David's words were overheard and reported to Saul, who called for him. And this is according to 1 Samuel, the 17th chapter, from the 26th to the 31st verse. Would you, my friend, take a look at the words that Eliab speaks to David. He says, I know your pride and your wickedness of heart. Considering that this was his eldest brother who ought to know him better than a stranger, this was very hurtful, and it would have been enough to offend anyone. But take a look at what David does. He turns away from him and carries on asking his question. You see, many times, child of God, one of the things the devil does when he wants to hinder what God is about to do in your life is that he raises enemies to distract you. He raises distractions so that you do not see the real enemy who is fighting your progress and your promotion. He hides behind people and tries to see if he can turn you away from your purpose, if he can shift your focus. Imagine, my friend, if David had gotten angry with Eliab and then tried to defend himself. He could have spent the next couple of minutes or even hours in an argument with Eliab that would have gotten him nowhere and would have distracted him from the fact that he was angry in his spirit at what Goliath was doing to the God of Israel. Who, my friend, is your enemy? Many times, the person you think is your enemy is not really your enemy. They may even consider you an enemy, as Eliab might have, but you know better, child of God. They are not really your enemy. You know who your real enemy is. The Bible tells us in Ephesians, the 6th chapter, from the 11th to the 12th verse, He says, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Your war, my friend, is not with that person in front of you, no matter how annoying they may be. There is no time to stand trying to defend yourself or trying to get back at them. Does this mean that their words and actions are no longer hurtful? No, of course not. But when you know that even without their awareness, they are really only a tool of the devil to distract you from your mission or what you are supposed to be doing, it is easier, my friend, to not take their words or their actions to heart. If the devil is putting distractions in your path, it must mean you are a threat to him. It must mean you are getting really close. What is your Goliath, child of God? What is that thing that you are supposed to be doing that you have left to focus on the haters and the enemies? Leave the judging to God. Rebuke the enemy and carry on with your work. Carry on doing what you are supposed to be doing. It is not your place to try to put the enemy in their place. It is not your place, my friend, to seek vengeance. It may be difficult, but you have more important things to do than to try to defend your every word and your every action to the people who disagree with you. Are you where God has asked you to be? If you are, that's all that matters. David, my friend, was in the field in obedience to his father's instruction. Imagine if he had been somewhere else at that time. He probably would not have heard the boast of Goliath, and it would have been a very different story today. Imagine if he had taken the words of Eliab to heart, gotten offended, and gone home as he was asked to. He would have missed out on the opportunity to be used by God to slay the giant. He would have missed out on God's promotion for him. Hear this, my friend. This is not the time to focus on your enemies. God is getting ready to promote you. Whenever opposition begins to rise unnecessarily, especially when you know that you are in obedience to the will of God, hear this, my friend, it means the devil is afraid of what is coming next from you. He knows that you have what it takes in you to defeat the Goliath, and so he will try to turn your focus. Hear this, my friend. He will try as much as he can to get you to focus on the superficial things like Eliab's words when there is a real enemy to defeat you. Vengeance belongs to the Lord. Leave it to the Lord to defend you. All you need to do is keep going about your business. Dust off the words, my friend. Let the actions go. Your promotion is more important. The promise is greater. The reward is bigger. It may be difficult, but keep in front of you what is coming and what God has asked you to do, and see the way He will prepare a feast for you, even in the presence of your enemies. May God, my friend, bless you.